Greetings, humanoids. This is Rudolf of Germany, the tall white alien. Today I would like to give you a little bit more information about the origins of the different races on your planet, the planet which you call Earth. In my earlier videos, I have given you some information about it and also about the DNA experiments and work we done to create a hybrid being which was able to function on this planet with its atmospheric, magnetic, and other specific circumstances, and at the same time having the ability to be manipulated by us. When we came many thousands of years ago, we found only one race of humans which lived in Africa, which you would call the black people, several different tribes of black people which have had mixed up over time and became to a vast amount indistinguishable from each other. We wanted to have a clear and clean strain of DNA and searched a long time in Africa to find one. Eventually, we took the Nubia and the Askari tribe people because these Eastern African tribes have been, after we checked several different ones, still the most cleanest races in Africa. With these races, we made our first experiment, changed their DNA, brought some of our own DNA into it, so eventually we would end up with a creature which has the ability to survive on this planet and its atmospheric circumstances, and mainly also its magnetic circumstances, which we are very weak to take, as you know, and at the same time would have our mental capacities, abilities, and be corresponding to our ideas. These were our first experiments. Later on, we used these DNA strains to search for further races which are even less exposed to other different tribes. We ended up going all the way through Ethiopia for testing, Persia, even to the north of India, to the Himalayas. And there again, we created several samples of hybrid species. But even in this case, in the last cases, we haven't found a pure race which has not been tampered with, a race which has not been in contact with other races and mixed over the years and changed their DNA accordingly. We went further and found a wooden land, a vast jungle area which was not being penetrated by other races, and there in the high north of Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, we found a pure white race. When I say pure, I don't mean in a racial way, I mean purely from color. And we were very astonished to see these white creatures far away in the north, creatures who did not have any contact before with other races. There we knew we have found the simple DNA strain we were looking for, which made it possible for us to work with, to introduce our own genetic parts which we wanted to introduce in order to create a strong, simple race with a lot of our DNA information. This race, simply because of its skin color, was later called the tall white race, because we put a lot of effort into it to create in a particular small group of them. We try to create a race which resembles us spiritually and mentally as far as possible. This man Karl, which you see here, is just one example of the outcome. But again, there are extreme white, blonde creatures of this nature, which live mainly still in the far north, which will not mix up with other races and stay as a hybrid race under each other. These are the hybrid tall whites, which are protected by us because we need their stock for further genetical engineering and DNA work. This is the only way for us to communicate, take part, and also get our interest communicated with the human race and do the changes needed on this planet for our interests and for our means. I give you this example. This is, for example, a little bit of hair we took from Karl. And because of this hair sample, we can make a genetic analysis, a DNA analysis, in order to find out how much of our tall white alien DNA this man contains. And with this particular DNA analysis, we can tell from any person on this planet how big the percentage is of tall white DNA in this person. Why is it so important? Because as more DNA from our advanced race is in a human being, including the hybrids of the north, as more of it is contained in such a person, as higher his intelligence and spiritual possibilities are. This, in turn, is so important for further work, also gives this person the abilities spiritually he needs to progress, and, in case of the pole switch, change dimensions at will after he gets the necessary training. The others, with a lower amount of tall white DNA, the ones we have chosen, will still be surviving in particular safe areas. The reason I have given out the pyramid papers as well as asked for photographs was a pre-selection process which we took on in order to see who could be, in case of a pole switch, be containing enough DNA so this person should be protected. And just like I show you here, the ones which might be protected have to go cut some hair and give us some samples so we can see if there is at least 64% alien DNA So this person has the necessary mental and spiritual makeup to become one of the saved humans. Now you have a little bit more information. You get probably a better, clearer picture what is going on and why some people on this planet have lesser understanding and the others a higher understanding of the circumstances of life, as well as a further development in the spiritual world, which again is the only way to stay in contact with us or come into contact with us and create a new generation of higher developed humans on this planet after the catastrophic events of the pole shift have ceased. This was my message of today, your friend Rudolf of Germany.